6.7 Given the litany of bed men, including your ex-husband, what would you say is the common denominator here? Learn discernment, be exacting and choose wisely. You have agency. You own no choices.
Do you want to respond to that?
I would agree with that. I do. I've tried to. I have varied I've been like, okay, I'm going to do online dating. That doesn't work. Okay, I'm going to try to meet a guy here. I'm going to try different ages. I'm going to, different looks. Maybe I'll hang out with a guy that I'm not necessarily like, oh, he's hot. I don't ever go for the guys that I'm like, oh, they're hot. I usually go for an average looking guy that I'm like, he seems like a good, decent, stable guy. And a lot of times it's really hard to find that with how a lot of people are nowadays.
Would you be willing to settle for a man with kids?
Possibly. It's hard for me because I want kids.
Right.
And if I don't ever have them, I don't know if I can be with somebody else raising their children.
I know. I'm saying you can still have kids with him. I'm just like if you had like 1 or 2 kids.
Yeah, I'd be fine.
Let's say he's like 43. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've dated older guys. I've dated guys that are 50. I've dated guys who are my age. I've dated tons of different guys.
I do want to say I don't think you're doing anything wrong in the sense now you want to change, this is a kind of guy that I want. Yeah. And because the dating pool is it's going to become smaller and smaller. Mm-hmm. Trust me.
I know.
I know you're saying, "Oh, I'm older," but I have not dated anyone, and it's because you are going to marry one person, right? You're not it's the dating pool is so small.
Technically, it's going to be 2 because I've already had one marriage.
No, yeah, but you see what I'm saying? You're going to submit to your husband, right? It's not to multiple guys. Yeah. So all things through Christ is possible. I'll just say that right there. Yeah. And I've seen my older cousin, he was dating someone for 6 years, I think. Mm-hmm. And they separated and because he didn't see someone, a potential future wife, right? Mm-hmm. And he was older, 29, almost 30. And so he was like, I'm going to have to revert to women who have already kids, who, and in that sense, he wasn't trusting God's plan. Yeah. But 4 months, and then he was single for a year, I believe. And then he met a young woman. She was in her 29, late 30s. Or early 30s, and they got married 4 months within meeting of each other. So it's I know there's, you might say, oh, those are exceptions, but it's possible with Jesus. You submit to the Lord and give it to him and cast all your cares onto him, and he will give your heart's desires.
Yeah, and honestly, I will say that when you were talking about how in your marriage that you were, kind of pleading with your husband to stay in the marriage and that, I guess he eventually walked away. Mm-hmm. I will say it's nothing to do with you. It's not a reflection on you, but the Lord will remove people from your life who are not.
It could be.
It could be a little bit. I wasn't a perfect wife.
My point though is that the Lord will remove people from your life who are not adding to it and who are not meant to be in your life. And so, I think every rejection is a redirection. And so, I definitely think that you should take it that way.
Thank you.
Claim
is the audio boosted?
$200. Now it's all men's fault that other men aren't good. If women were better and taught other women, we wouldn't have gold diggers. Be pickier and stop having unrealistic expectations.
I'm not saying it's all men's fault. I'm saying people need, if it's going to get any better, both genders need to work together. Yeah, we need to stop beating each other up constantly.
Sure. Wait, so you're 37, right?
Yes.
And so you divorced 9 years ago?
8. It'll be 8 years in the summer.
Okay. And then you've been on all these dates with these men, and they're really handsy, and they're trying to sleep with you.
Not all of them. I don't just spend a ton of time going on dates. But the dates that I do go on, it's been a handful of not great guys, and then there's other guys who are good guys.
But so you described a scenario where, they're putting their hand on your leg. Mm-hmm. You don't want that. And has that been was it one guy, 2 guys, all the guys? What?
There was one guy in particular that was worse than a lot of the others, but a lot of guys, because I try to make it very clear before I even hang out with them that I'm not interested in hooking up.
But so the guy puts his hand on your leg, are you whoa, stop, and you're
yeah, with one particular guy, yes, I removed his hand multiple times and he would not stop.
So he kept his hand there?
He kept putting it back.
Then we're getting into criminal territory.
Yeah, right.
But I think one of the potential problems here is you're 37. Probably like the cohort of men you're going to be dating is probably like 35 and up.
Yeah, generally, yeah.
Like 35 to 45, maybe even older.
Yeah.
Like I'd say this age cohort of men probably isn't looking to wait like 6 months to have sex. Are you waiting until marriage again?
I haven't entirely decided because
you need to figure that out before you go on dates with men who might want to fuck you the same night.
I always tell them that I don't want to sleep with them early. It's something that I at least want to wait. I want to get to know somebody. I don't want to hook up with anybody.
That's totally fine, but I need you to be realistic in the dating marketplace. I think that's a perfectly acceptable standard. However, you have to realize these dudes are dealing with women who will write not interested in hookups in the bio,
and then sleep with them,
and they fuck the same
I know.
night.
That's why I'm saying
you gotta be really
That's why I'm saying
it's both. Screening these dudes out properly.
I know. I try to.
So are you going back to their place on the same night?
No.
Are they going to your place?
No.
One of the things that you can do.
I used to hang out with. I've learned that I can't go hang out with them at their place on the same night.
And look, I think a guy should respect your boundaries regardless of the venue. But one thing a woman can do, if you genuinely are I want to wait, don't go to his crib.
And that's what I've started doing.
He can't go to your crib.
That's what I've started doing.
I think it should be okay that you could do that, and boundaries should be respected regardless of where you're at. But one of the things that you can do to kind of make that situation less likely is you can't be going to their crib.
Yeah, and that's what I've started doing, where it's okay. I'm not hanging out with your house.
You can't be laying in bed with, you got to, if that's really your position, again, they should be respecting your boundaries, but maybe you got to move things a bit slower. You got to pull back on your end,
and that's
too.
what I'm working on doing, is what adjustments do I need to make within myself to help this go better than it is, because the definition of insanity is doing
But I'm a little bit confused. So you said you don't know how long you want to wait. So do you want to wait until marriage, or do you not?
For the last several years, I have not been waiting again until I'm married. But as things are not working out great, I am debating if that might be a better policy to take up.
Wait, so question, have you only been with your ex-husband?
No, I've been with other people.
Okay. And was this, it was obviously after your marriage. How recently was that?
I haven't been with anybody for about a year.
A year, okay. And that guy, were you dating him? How long were you dating him for?
8 or 9 months.
Okay. And then how quickly into 8 or 9 months did you guys hook up?
Oh, I didn't sleep with that guy.
Oh,
we were seeing each other, but I never slept with him.
You were dating a guy for 9 months and you didn't?
It was not entirely, it was complicated. Our work schedules made it really hard for us to even see each other. And then there was other things that happened where I was...
Like what?
Just things with trust, where it was I'm not entirely sure if I can trust you, and I'm giving you a chance to see if we can build some of that back a little bit and see how things go, but it just kept kind of getting broken, so it finally got to a point where I was I can't trust you, so we can't really see each other.
So you guys would see each other once a month, or?
Every other weekend, usually.
When you say trust was broken, what do you mean by that?
Just things that he did that involved other women that made me feel I'm not...
Well, waiting 9 months when you're that age, I feel is
no, that was from early. Tough. It was from early on in the relationship that things had happened where I was...
Were you guys exclusive?
Not entirely. We were dating and talking, and it was the sense of we both wanted to see where this is going to go. So, but there was a few things that happened that broke my trust.
But I think you should only let the trust be broken, or you shouldn't, once, and then you need to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
So were you dating other guys?
No.
Okay. Were you guys boyfriend, girlfriend at this time?
We never really had a talk about it. It was...
At any point?
No.
Or prior to the...
Because...
What? Okay, what are you upset about then?
Wait, so...
Somebody can still
confirm, I guess, what you were too, in a way.
You don't want to sleep with the guy, but you don't want to be boyfriend, girlfriend, monogamous relationship. But he's talking to other women. I don't see the problem.
So if I'm supposed to be waiting to have sex with somebody, I'm not going to jump into a relationship and be exclusive with them, because then most men are going to expect sex. So I'm trying to meet somebody and actually get to know them for a few months.
You should know.
You were talking to him for 8 to 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And
the things that happened weren't massive, but they broke my trust a little bit. So I said, I'm giving you a chance to regain the trust.
Do you meet them on Tinder?
No, this one I didn't meet on Tinder.
How do you meet them?
It was through work stuff.
Okay.
So, okay, just some points of clarification here. You have been with other men besides your husband sexually?
It's not my husband. I'm not married anymore.
Well, ex-husband.
Yes.
Okay. And then, like, what was the timeline with those other men?
It varies. And that's not really something that I'm comfortable discussing. I'm not going to tell the whole world how long I wait to sleep with people.
But, like, were any of those men, like, did you sleep with any of them quickly, like first couple dates?
Yes, and I deeply regret it, and that's why I don't.
I mean, that's such a hard sell for a guy. Like, oh, okay, this guy's waiting for 9 months, and then like a guy you were dating three weeks ago.
If a girl makes the mistake of sleeping with a guy too quickly, she then has to sleep with every guy too quickly.
No,
that's so unfair.
No, you look.
So I can't make the decision to choose to wait because I've already hooked up with a guy.
Hold on, I'll explain it to you. You can be the biggest whore in the world.
I just have to keep being a whore.
Stop. Let me finish, and then you can respond. You can be the biggest whore in the world and fuck 1,000 men within 10 minutes of meeting them, and then after that 1,000th man that you fucked, immediately, you can now make a new determination and say, I'm waiting until marriage now.
That's not what happened.
He's using it as an example.
Hypothetically.
Okay. I'm saying to that extreme, I'm saying that a woman can do that, and that can be her new standard. What I'm saying, though, is if you're dealing with a guy and he hears this and he's like, well, hold on, you slept with all these other guys like first, second, third date. Now you want me to wait indefinitely while you're trying to figure out whether or not you want to wait until marriage before we have sex, or you want to wait 3 months or 8 months or 9 months. I think men can be like, I accept your choice to not want to sleep with me, but that's kind of bullshit. I don't want to date you.
And I feel like that's like a full disclosure.
Like, that's fine.
I would also be like,
I feel like it's a full disclosure when you first meet.
Guys, one at a time. Go ahead.
I said I feel like that's like a full disclosure when you first meet them. Like if you do decide to, like you said, like completely change your whole value system and completely flip a switch, you can totally do that. But like you said, like he can't just be like, oh, well, you did all these things and now you're not going to do it with me. Like, I feel like that's a conversation that you have to have kind of like from the jump.
So I have a question though. So if a woman has made the mistake of sleeping with men too early on, and you're telling women that that's a bad thing and they shouldn't be doing that anymore, the woman who has done that isn't allowed to quit doing that, because then every guy is going to be like, that's not fair. You have to sleep with me too because you already slept with them.
No, I literally granted that you can be the biggest whore in the world and change, and that's your prerogative.
If you did change, like,
just be full disclosure.
Question why.
However, men can be like, wow, that's okay, you're free to do that, but that's kind of bullshit. I don't want to date you, and I don't want to wait. And if you want to wait, goodbye.
That's fine.
I mean, you want
Yes.
the truth.
Fine.
You want the truth of what I'm thinking. I mean, I just don't think that the like modesty and like waiting, like kind of like, no offense, aligns with like, I mean, you're wearing a shirt that says eat trash and like have gauged ears. I mean, if I'm being real, I mean, I just
know
don't
it
think
doesn't fit the picture.
I know, but you're looking for something, and like I feel like it takes less time than 8 months to get to know someone. And I also think that like guys that want to wait are looking for someone who like I have tattoos and piercings, like it's no judgment, we're looking for something different, but I don't think that those two align together. Like if I saw like you walk down the street, it mattered. Like you're wearing a shirt that says eat trash, you're 37.
I just think it's a fun shirt.
I'm not saying it's not a fun shirt. I'm just saying that
like,
that's just,
sorry,
like,
I've always been. I don't really
have criticisms of her shirt.
I don't think there's necessarily clothing choices like that specifically that fit with whether or not you have this belief or this belief. Like
let me ask here. I don't care about your T-shirt. So. Okay, in terms of timeline here, you got divorced 8-9 years ago. There's been some men that you've hooked up with quickly, some that you're making wait. At this current moment in time, though, you're like not sure if you want to wait until marriage or not. I think you got to tell a guy definitive. Like it should either be like, yes, I am 100% waiting until marriage, or I'm open to something sooner. I don't know.
That's why I'm saying I'm not sure about that yet, because I'm not going to tell a guy that I'm going to wait for marriage unless I've made that decision. I haven't made that decision. When I said I'm not sure, I mean in the sense of that is something I'm considering doing. going forward. I haven't yet made that choice. Like,
How
oh, I'm
long you been
definitely
thinking
waiting.
about this? Well, I mean, what's there to decide? I don't
I
understand.
feel like men though, like if they know, like if you
Watch,
are,
check this out. I don't want to wait until marriage. Boom, just made that decision right now.
if you're getting to know men intimately though, and you're telling them like you have slept with a guy sooner than you have with them though, like they're gonna look at that and be like, okay, like, well, she gave this to him, like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like feeling
But
valued as well. But
there's
also,
there's
like,
quite a few women out there
if
who
there
have
has been
slept
many
with
of
men early on
partners-
and then try to wait.
I think that
right,
she has
if there's
like
been many of partners, they'd be like,
she does have like she can totally flip her whole entire like view on it.
Right,
like she
right.
has totally like that option. But like there are guys that
but there's gonna be guys that are gonna question it, and they're
And
gonna
that's
like,
fine.
And I think
you know,
that-
I don't care.
I
That's
think
fine. They can question
some
it.
guys might be like, oh, like, what, does she not like me enough? Did she like those guys
And
more?
all of
like,
the
there
questioning,
might be like a
everything is gonna
tad bit of
take
it,
down
an
the percentage as
insecurity.
well.
I can understand.
I think though
Of
that you need to
suitors.
decide, but for yourself, and not be like it depends on the person I'm with. You know what their
It
standard
doesn't
is.
depend on them. It's me. That's why I'm thinking about making that decision.
Okay,
It's just not. It's
but you shouldn't make that decision like strategically based on, oh, what could like help me like date someone better. You should have a reason to back it up. Like
Yeah.
if someone were to ask you why, like I'm not saying have to, but like what would make sense is if someone asks you why is this decision, like you should have an explanation for yourself and
Yeah.
not just what would be more successful for me in
Yeah.
finding someone to marry and have
I
a
agree
family
with that.